possession. Bam says, get it out of here.
You get on that big stage, you just got to make big plays.
That's all it is. He made a good play. Just get ready for game 2.
Kemba Walker doing a little bit of everything. The Celtics looking sharp here in the first half. The Miami Heat have regained the lead after trailing by 17. Dragic a three-pointer. Bang! Tatum goes in a corner. Won't go. The tip misses. The Miami Heat take a 2-0 lead here in this best-of-7 conference final.
Well, things definitely got heated last night. Miami going up 2-0 over the Celtics, 106-101 after Boston blew a second half lead, getting outscored by 20 in the third. And then there was after the game. Tensions really spilled over. ESPN's Malika Andrews reported that Marcus Smart was yelling at his teammates in the locker room before storming out, swearing, and then she heard sounds of things being thrown around and other players shouting as well. So things really seem to be reaching a new level of tense within the Celtics organization. Kendrick Perkins here with us now, former Celtic champion. Guys, look, there's a lot going on here. Other members of the team, they did downplay what happened in the locker room after the game, but Celtics, they're now down 0-2. So Stephen A., do you think the series is over at this point?
I do believe it's over because I picked the Miami Heat to win in 7, and I don't see Boston winning 4 of the next 5 games. I just don't view it that way. So as a result, I do believe this series is over. I don't know how many games it'll end in. Maybe it'll end in 6. Maybe it'll end in 5 for all we know, or go 7. But I don't see the Miami Heat losing 4 of the next 5 games. I just don't see that. That's number one. Number two, to put on my reporting hat, let me just tell y'all what I heard. In the aftermath of the game, Marcus Smart got into it. He was going off on the team, and Jaylen Brown stepped up and told him to calm down. We all a team. Let's come together, et cetera, et cetera. And they ultimately got into it. It was really about Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown to some degree getting into a heated discussion. Jaylen Brown more so trying to calm him down, and Marcus Smart going the hell off. He didn't like the fact that he was called out for taking an ill-advised 3 when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were both shooting field, or in Jason Tatum's case, shooting 50% from the field. Jaylen Brown shooting 57% from the field and 50% from three-point range. Yet this Marcus Smart, who has been making threes, who made a couple last night, took an ill-advised 3, and some folks had to talk to him about that. He didn't appreciate that as well from what I heard. But in the end, it's something that ultimately will blow over. That kind of stuff happens. Marcus Smart is highly competitive. He's a rough rider. I think he's been playing exceptionally well, and as far as I'm concerned, before last night was the MVP of the Boston Celtics in these playoffs, considering the level of consistency, the way he plays defense, and more importantly, him hitting three-point shots with regularity in a way that he never has throughout his career. So I give him a lot of credit, and I think that, obviously they'll come together because they got a lot of respect and love for one another. But that's what happened last night. In the end, the Heat, they've got their own Rough Riders. And somebody, we keep talking about Jimmy Butler, which we should. We keep talking about Bam Adebayo, who had 21 and 10 last night, which we should. Duncan Robinson is just a specialist. There are people in the NBA that are specialists. He is one of them in terms of his shooting ability. This brother pulls up from the parking lot. He hit 6 threes last night, 6 of his 12 threes. All 18 of his points came on three-pointers. That's what he's there for. He pulls up, and this brother he's a marksman, okay? And last but not least, is somebody going to mention Goran Dragic? He had 29 in game 1. He had 25 last night. This guy that's one of the older dudes on the Miami Heat squad is giving it to the Boston Celtics in these first 2 games. We saw Kemba Walker raise up and do a little something more offensively compared to what he had been doing over the previous 5 games in postseason competition. But Goran Dragic has been balling. He has been giving it to them. And unless somebody figures out a way to stop him, Miami, who overcame a 14-point deficit to win game 1, a 17-point deficit to win game 2, listen, I don't know how you're going to beat them if this dude keeps giving it to them the way he's been giving it to them. That's why I think this series is over.
I agree with what you pointed out about the Heat. Duncan Robinson, not all three-point shooters are created equal. This dude is not just a three-point specialist. He's a next-level three-point specialist. That's a big thing for the Heat team to have. I want to address, I don't think the series is over. At this point, I'm taking the Heat because I started out thinking Boston would win. Like, this is a toss-up series. Boston will win it in 7 because of the shooting and the defense. Not that Miami can't shoot or play defense. But I like Boston in 7. I thought Gordon Hayward would be available. And given how their talent is distributed at the top of that team, they have 4 real big guns, and then Marcus Smart also when it matters. You take one of those pieces off, since none of the others are exactly MVP caliber, unless Tatum continues to develop into that throughout these playoffs, which is possible. But none of the other guys are someone you look at and say, that's an MVP, including Kemba Walker or Jaylen Brown, who are really good. You need to be at full strength. They weren't with Gordon Hayward for games 1 or 2. That said, they lost those 2 games. And they could maybe stolen either one of those games, right? At least made it 1-1. Down 0-2 now, I like Miami. But that's not the same thing as saying the series is over. We just saw in these playoffs, Boston jump out to a commanding lead against the Raptors. The Raptors tied up. Boston go up again. The Raptors tied up. They had to go to a game 7. We saw that the Nuggets, it's the bubble, man. Weird things are happening. Go down 3-1 to Utah. That series is over. Come all the way back on Utah. And then what they just did to the Clippers, right? So I can't say, it's unlikely that the Celtics come back from this, but they are getting Hayward back. At some point they should. And so I can't say it's over, but I want to address Marcus Smart real quick. I cut guys like Marcus Smart a lot of slack when they get upset, even when sometimes they're not totally in the right. Because Marcus Smart is talented, but there are more talented guys than him. But his level of competitiveness, when it really matters, makes him exactly the guy you want on your team. Much like Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's a talented player, but their dude's more talented than Jimmy Butler. But his level of competitiveness, like a lot of players think they want it. Then you run into a dude like Jimmy Butler and you realize, oh, that's what really, he needs it. It's a little different. Marcus Smart is like that, so I don't see him blowing up, even going at it with Jaylen Brown. I think oh, the team's imploding. It may just make them better.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.